Alright, Summoners, this is MP Plays of NewN. Today's war is War 7, and we are fighting ISO8a. I'm going to bring in Void, Killmonger, and Quake, and we're going to take Path 1 of Section 1 to start. I do have 9 fights this war. 3 of them are mini-boss fights, and the rest are path/shared fights. So this first fight, we're going to go ahead and slap on our 6-hour champion and attack and health boosts, and we're gonna use them for the rest of the war. Taking Longshot with Void to start, and I am gonna slap on a Power Start 1 so that I can hope for a Petrify off the first SP1. Also, to eat up some of that vigorous assault timer without having to rely on a parry or a block while he's unblockable. So you're going to see, you're going to throw it right here, hope for it, and we land a Petrify. So we can play a little more aggressive as soon as the regen falls, so that we don't have to worry about too much power gain from both his SIG ability and MD kicking in. Always going to get him to use his SP1 whenever he has it. Throw an RSP1 every time we get it, just to get to Fear the Void or to get 2 of those Petrifies up to kind of prevent the healing or the power gain. Longshot is not a protect champ, so we don't have to worry about any of our damage triggering the global. Haven't fought Longshot much, but the few times that I have, he's been pretty stingy with his specials. Goes down easy with Void though, especially once we take care of that power gain with the Petrify. Moving on to a Void on Meso. So we just have to keep track of that cooldown timer, make sure that if we're going to try and throw a parry that it's going to stick, and if not, re-parry like we do at the start here. Luckily, sometimes the bleeds from Killmonger are going to take that out, throw it into cooldown. We do have the Void synergy with Killmonger here, so some of Void's debuffs are going to get purified right as they land. And if they don't, we're going to be throwing attacks like crazy, so the combo itself is going to remove those debuffs. Again, Void is not a protect champion, so we're not going to worry about our damage triggering protect. Even if we did, we're using Killmonger. We use a counter punch to remove it. Retaliating specials, getting that True Strike up, hoping for the Reverb to be up too at the same time so that we can increase some damage. Only really throwing SP2s here. There, we got Reverb and True Strike going on. Just pounded him against the wall. So not a hard fight, really. It's a pretty good counter, and it goes down easy. The next fight is a Quake fight. I have sped up the Quake fights that I have this war just because there's not really anything to see. It's Quake and Shake or Quake and Bake, which I can do both. Hulkbuster does benefit from the Protect Global, but Quake's never going to trigger it. And the only thing you have to pay attention to or be aware of is to not drop the heavy. So hope that an animation doesn't look like it causes evade, and it doesn't, and then you drop the heavy. Benefit to quaking here is that we don't have to worry about strike counter. There's some champs you can use here. It's not too bad of a fight. You just have to play around the strike counter when fighting against Hulkbuster on this node, so that we don't stack up all those Furies and take any hits. But obviously if you can quake it, and he goes down easy. The next fight is another Quake fight. It's a new boss, taking Kingpin. He's got the white Magneto pre-fight so that when I parry, the parry sticks. And I'm going to full-on Quake and Bake this fight. I'm not even going to try to trigger decks once, even during the long concussion. Don't want the risk of dropping a heavy. Him hit me power snack. Power gain. So I'm just going to continue the rhythm tap into that parry when the long concussion's up, so that when the concussion falls, he's still in the rhythm, and if you parry him, he'll fall. You will see him throw a couple heavies. Not a big deal with these big guys that throw single hit heavies, because it's just reapplying the heavy after heavy and evading it, so you don't have to worry about triggering decks. Back when Stubborn was global, I was taking Man-Thing here, doing the exact same thing, and again, single hit heavies, nothing to worry about. The fight does take a little bit longer than you would like, 2.5 minutes of quaking, just because of that backup recovery, giving him health back and some power. But since I know I can quake and bake it, it's a pretty safe fight for me. Keeps us from losing any attack bonuses. These fights, some other changes. Almost there. Probably going to be 1 or 2 concussion hits or aftershock hits. And you're noticing that I'm losing some health. It is from some missed parries and just direct blocks. But nothing big, nothing to be concerned about. Moving on to Path 1, Section 2. Starting out with Sorcerer. I'm not going to use a Power Start 1 here with Void. She doesn't benefit from Protect, and her power gain is steady instead of it being from combat, or all from combat. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw a few heavies to start, just to burn through my debuff timer and hope for Petrify to land first. Or this fight, I think it lands second. Kind of build to RSP1, throw RSP1, get her to bait, or start baiting out her specials so she doesn't get too crazy. The power gain Petrify landed as a second debuff, so it can be a little more aggressive. Still baiting out those specials. I do like using Void for this fight when I can, just so that we don't have to worry about the crazy power gain with MD if the summoner placed with high MD. And you'll see we'll end Sorcerer right as Fear of the Void's going, probably the second debuff after Fear of the Void. I think my Void is saved 120, so there is an attack increase, but not too crazy. And down she goes. Moving on to my next quick fight, which is Immortal Abomination. Luckily it's a rank 5. This fight can get a little tricky. Dropping the heavy here is kind of a big deal because Buffet will heal him back to full. And you'll notice during this fight, just with willpower, the Quake takes a while to get his health down. This is a rank 5 and it takes 2.5 minutes to down him without dropping the heavy once. So sometimes, if it's a rank 3, I would recommend half suicides or the white Magneto pre-fight, which I usually like to have for this fight, but couldn't send one this way. But you will see that I won't drop the heavy. You won't get that, oh no, am I going to have enough time or am I going to time out? And you can see the health bar go back up just a little bit after Aftershock until the next Aftershock, then it drops, and then it goes right back up a little more. So that's kind of where the issue is with a rank 3 and not having those suicides or that white Magneto pre-fight, or just dropping the heavy during the fight. There's a chance of 2 buffs being eaten and him going back to full health. Another option here is Warlock. Warlock would prevent any healing, end him pretty quick. You just have to deal with his specials, which aren't too bad. It's probably going to be one more set of Aftershocks and then he'll go down. And there it is. Okay, moving on to the shared fight. I am taking this Hyperion with Void. I do use the Power Start 1 again here, so that I can hope for a roll of Petrify. You will see I don't use an SP3 damage reduction, which I completely forgot to do, which I usually do for this node. But I'm just going to start the fight throwing the SP1 to reset the strike counter, and then I'm going to go through a combo rotation to prevent strike counter suppression from landing. Now I don't do it that well this fight. Luckily 2 Petrify showed up, so that's fine. It means I don't really have to worry about Hyperion's power gain, and I can play really aggressive. But you'll notice right there I get my first suppression debuff. And then I'm still kind of trying to play the combo for strike counter. But Hyperion's at half health. He's still got those 2 Petrifies, obviously. So we're not really too worried about his power gain. Just wailing on him in the corner. Now, Hyperion does benefit from Protect. I am max boosted outside of special damage boost, but we don't ever trigger Protector in the fight. Could be that I don't really throw any specials while Fear the Void is up. But yeah, it goes down pretty quick after that Fear the Void. Moving on to mini bosses, I have 2. I have the Vigorous Assault Mini P99, and I have Modok on Stunning Reflection Polka Dot Power, which is a mini I usually take. We're just gonna quick P99 here, make sure we're at max health in case there are any oops moments, which we don't have. And there's nothing really fancy about this, it's just a quick and shake fight. There's not much that I can't quake and shake or quake and bake. I'm usually taking Modok when he's on Hazard Shift Mini with Quake. I took Thing one war this season on Hazard Shift, Quake and Shake. I don't usually take a Fury. Usually if we have a Fury on Path 7, Section 2, the second node, we usually Quake it. But because I'm usually boss rushing, I haven't had to take that with New Nation. Which is a good thing, because I don't Quake Fury very often. But outside of that, I'm usually fine quaking anything. As long as it's not trying to quake and bake a stun immune, which doesn't have to happen much because we don't have stubborn anymore. See, I'm not skipping a beat with Punisher here. He hasn't thrown any of his heavies, so I'm not shaking too slow. And he's gonna go down with the next Aftershock. Okay, moving on to Modok. I always take the Stunning Reflection Modok with Protection with Killmonger. Have been for a while. Even with Stubborn I used to until I started taking Human Torch at it. But I usually don't stun this node at all. And sure enough, first video I make, I stun this node. So you'll see it, it'll freeze. Just trying to bait an SP1. But the game plan here is push Modok to SP1, bait the SP1 so that we can get True Strike. Once we have True Strike on, we can wail on him until we get our SP1 from Polka Dot Power, and then we use our SP1 and we use those unstoppable charges for counter punch the entire fight. So there's the True Strike. Here comes the counter punch with the SP1, and as soon as we got the counter punch, we're switching from full combos ending in a medium to 4-hit combos ending in a light, so that we can immediately retaliate with this counter punch. See, I'm trying to bait here. It's SP1 going on. And right about here, this next SP1, he goes really quick, and I was trying to dex, and he stuns me. Or I stun myself. Void Synergy doesn't kick in. Luckily, Killmonger has great crit resistance, so I didn't take too much damage, and we go right back to the game plan. Baiting SP1, retaliate, use counter punch, end with a light. You don't usually end with a medium against the wall because the AI likes to sit there and either block or immediately throw a heavy, which makes it really hard to counter. So I like to create the opening by doing medium, light, 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 back off, counter punch. Here, protect. This is a good thing about counter punch. We can use it to remove it. So Killmonger is very similar to Mole Man, except for the fact that he's not big enough to use SP1 to remove protect, and he goes down easy. That was the end of my war. Our BG donated, so we didn't have any deaths. So did BG2. We ended up winning this war 11-3. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment if you'd like me to do any other content in the future, and hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next war.